lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan.
And I'm Manny.
And we're talking Batman Superman World's Finest issue 20 today. I'm very excited. We have talked about this title multiple times. I love the book. I got Manny to read it, so now he's on board with it. As you can see on this cover, it's Return to Kingdom Come. That's one of my favorite. We haven't done that book yet. We will do.
No, we haven't. I'm down to do it, man. It's one of my favorite books.
Same. So I'm very excited about this. This isn't the first time we've had hints of Kingdom Come in this title. Volume 2 of the book also introduced a character in there that we're going to see and hear. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I suggest you turn this off. It was a new character that we learned and ends up being Superman's sidekick in Volume 2. And then the cliffhanger at that, he ends up becoming Magog from the Kingdom Come universe, which is really super interesting. And you know, the whole mystery behind it, not everybody could figure out who it was. I think one person, Mark Waid said, figured it out. But he never said who that person was. But anyways, we got Mark Waid writing this book. He's been writing it from day one. Dan Mora and Tamara Bonvillain, great creative team.
I mean, those two are so good together art-wise. You know, like it's just. I mean, look at this page, bro.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. These opening pages of Barry Allen traversing the multiverse is fucking amazing. The like Easter eggs within all of these images. I mean, you get the Batman animated series. You get this. I think this is called. This is a Howard Chaykin book. It's called Thrill Killer. You have these two Supermen here, who I can't really like depict who they are. But you got the Batman Red Rain. You got this one, which I'm not sure. This one I'm not 100% sure either. This was the world where all the genders were reversed.
Yes.
You got the Dark Knights. I mean, and he's talking about it. He's like, you know, we live in a multiverse, an infinite number of parallel Earths. And that's, you know, he's the fastest man alive on his world. And, you know, this is basically him mapping the multiverse. And that's, you know, that's what he does. And he doesn't just do it.
Or you got the flashpoint down there too.
Yeah, he says it's, you know, to his Justice Leaguers, it's a strategic move, but also it's like he just likes to see it, which I think is cool for him to actually like admit.
Because I mean, if I could travel through alternate realities, I would like to see what I do in a different reality without like interacting. You know what I mean? Like, why not? That's you know, I get that.
For sure. And we get Dark Knight Returns, we get Batman Gotham by Gaslight, we get Flashpoint, we get Batman Beyond, Red Sun, Batman 100. And then as he's doing it, and he's like, some aren't really that shocking, but sometimes there's serious cause for alarm. And we see Wally West Flash from that world, who has now become one with the Speed Force and is literally just living speed. And we see little flashes of the Kingdom Come, and see Barry notice something, and then it flashes back to Gotham City, and we're transported back to Batman and Superman with Robin. And they're fighting Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery, which I thought was weird. But I just love the brightness of this, like the art, you know, like it harkens back to like a less dark era of DC Comics. And they really depict that well by putting the coloring like this.
I mean, that's Tamara Bonvillain, man. Like
she's amazing.
Yeah, man. Her and Jordi Belair, man, are two of my favorite current colorists.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love this too. You know, Barry fucking zooms in, and Superman calls him out by saying that he looks worried. He's like, news that's good and news that's bad. And he drops it on him. He's like, yeah, you know your sidekick, the one that vanished? And you see Superman, the joy in his face. He's like, oh man.
I know. I love that drawing of Superman's face. Like just in the eyes. Like you could see like it's such a subtle thing, but it's so good.
As he's excited, you know, Barry's like, no, I found it, but something's terribly wrong. And I love how they do that. They always do the credits, and DC's been doing this a lot lately with their titles. They'll end it on like a word or like a sentence that like where you would see it in a TV or movie, and it's like, boom,
I was gonna say it's very cinematic, man. Like, you know, it reminds me of like, you know, when you have like like you say, like in an action movie or something, like a cool little setup, and then bam, the titles just pop into the screen, you know. And the fact that World's Finest is on a double page spread just gives it this level of impact that, like, I mean, it again, you know, a great fun comic to read. And you nailed it when you said that it does harken back to a brighter era. Like, so if this is a great book, and we've said it before, that if you want to jump into like something that is, you know, set in the DCU, but you don't want to worry about all the crossovers that are going on, but it's still going to touch on the history, you can't go wrong with any of the world's finest, man. I mean, it's almost like a a version of what Marvel did with the Ultimate Comics, but better, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree because it's not rebooting it. It's just it adds to the already existing continuity by putting little things in that will tie into some of the present day story arcs. You know,
Yeah,
like
it reminds me of what Marvel did a great series. I think it was late '90s or maybe early 2000s. Untold Tales of Spider-Man. And it was only like 99 cents at the time,
I've
and it was the
never
same
read
kind
that,
of.
but I heard that it was really good.
I think
Kurt
it was Tom
Busiek, right?
DeFalco might have been the writer. What's that?
I thought it was Kurt Busiek.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was. I think it might have been. That would probably make sense because he has like he's another writer that like really understands on how to be able to do like older like almost Silver Age, Bronze Age tales without them being overly cheesy. But it
Yeah.
had the same feel, man. You know, like where you're filling in little gaps in the history that are fun to read, and you don't need to worry about having to go back and read anything, man. Everything you need is in the book, in this book.
And
I'm a big fan of the Cosmic Treadmill. I love seeing that.
same here, dude. And I love that they condense that second arc very well into this page to kind of catch readers up. If you haven't been reading the book, if you want to jump in on this arc, and that's something that I love about this series too, is that every arc is easy to jump into. Like you don't have to start from the beginning, and it's because of the type of storytelling, but you are rewarded if you're reading every single arc. Like there is a continuing story that will mention or talk about or be related to the previous arcs. Even this, like how Barry's like saying it was only fleeting glimpses, millions of seconds that he saw, but it was enough for him because he sees stuff differently when he's moving at high speeds, menaced by something and someone unfamiliar to him. And he basically tells him like, you need to go get him. He's designated at Earth 22. He's made some changes to the cosmic treadmill so Superman can do it, because we've never seen other people use the treadmill except a Flash.
Yeah, at least I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. And he takes Batman and they go, and he's like, there may be temporal displacement. So when they get there, they're not fully like integrated into this Earth yet. So they're almost like phantoms.
I love the image of them arriving, the colors,
dude,
like
I
that,
was
like
just gonna say that, yeah.
and the blue. It's beautiful, man. Like, you know, and then like when it's like juxtaposed with that like very like sort of like golden hue, like magic hour like light from the background. Gorgeous, man, gorgeous.
And I love that when they get there, he sees David, but he's older. He's got the scar, like we all know Magog to have. He's spying on somebody. So then they see the older versions of themselves kneeling over the coffins. You'd think they would be more taken aback by him. I mean, especially
I know
Bruce.
because this is early on, and like you know, like for all we know, this is the first time Bruce has even traveled the multiverse. You know?
Yeah. And they see Ted, Kara, Ray just dead, and then he's like, our counterparts must be devastated. Imagine laying not just one but three of our friends to rest. And Batman looks, he's like, Clark, look.
I love trying to read the names on all the tombstones. We got some cool deep cuts here. We've got Judo Master, Peacemaker, The Question, Elongated Man, Red Hood, The Creeper,
Zan and Jane of the Wonder Twins,
Obsidian,
yep,
Red
Jace
Arrow,
Fox,
Captain Comet, yeah,
dude, just so many different characters, you know, like big names,
Dr. Fate,
like
Samurai.
Yeah, just it's insane, right? And it goes on for miles because that's what happened at the end of Kingdom Come. That massive fucking explosion that killed everybody. I mean, there were some people that survived, but not everybody did, right? And then Bruce holding onto the gravestone of Red Robin was awesome. And then we see this. I love how they depict this. Like they're going to travel back now within the timeline of the Kingdom Come universe. And you signify that by showing glimpses of the different characters, right? Like prior to all the deaths, prior to the events of Kingdom Come. So Superman doesn't even have the black in his costume yet, right? Like this is before, I think before Lois is probably dead, I would imagine, right? And so they go to Planet Krypton, and this changes too. This isn't exactly how it was because Booster Gold didn't own it. Guy Gardner owned it. I could be wrong. I mean, I know he owned the Restaurant Warriors, but I guess maybe I always assumed it was Guy Gardner. But I like how they do that. They're like, who's this Booster Gold? Because they haven't met him yet. Because they're really
I also love when they're ordering the
and they're towing the line like, we don't know. Like, obviously, Kingdom Come is an alternate Earth, right? But like, I think some people have still always thought like, okay, that could still be the future for the DC universe. they mention it too, like as they're sitting there, like I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I like this interaction. He's like, what are you going to do with him if you bring him back? Like, and they mention like Clark Kent's a single guy, lives by himself, and then he like is like, what are you gonna do? Like, that's not a long-term solution. He's like, I'm rich, I have made it happen.
It's a great conversation, man. And like,
Yeah.
something Mark Waid excels at is like those quiet moments too. Like, I mean, Mark Waid is probably one of my favorite like superhero writers. I think he's great at like the high concept, but he's also really like fantastic at these little quiet moments where people are just talking over a meal,
Yeah.
And I love that of course Bruce Wayne would order his steak medium rare, and he would order a steak while Clark is like just coffee,
Uh-huh. And I love this interaction too. Like after he tells him, like, I could help you probably do it, but he's like, don't sweat, it's all solvable. Maybe this Superman's already figured out. And Clark's mad about it.
Yes.
He's like, stop assuming he and I are the same. We're not. Because he's like really like taken aback at all the deaths. He's like, how could he have allowed that to happen? And that in and of itself is such a great moment, for Superman, who's kind of young in his career on Earth.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
How protective, how dedicated is a Superman who would ever let that happen? Like, that's a heavy line. And then he like is examining the whole restaurant and he sees the Justice League casebook. He's like, no one on Earth who has ever heard of the multiverse. That also is pretty interesting. And then we see David.
Adam. Yeah. Fighting Atom Smasher.
Some time has passed, obviously, on this Earth since he left, like when he got taken back with, and he's basically has like a Superman origin. Like his parents sent him through hypertime, right? Instead of from another planet, they sent him through the multiverse to another Earth. And then he got transported to this one, and now he's fighting crime, but we'll see that he's not, he's kind of leading into the hero he will be when he's Magog, right? Like right now he's Thunderman, but he's a little ruthless in terms of the way.
Yeah, he's already like, much more ruthless than Clark has ever been.
I love this.
I also
another one of those lectures. Great, spare me the, and like he's like, wait, we have one of you at home. So then he's like, he realizes who they are, and that they're not the Superman and Batman of this Earth.
I also love again the softness on their faces that Mora draws, man. Like you look at Clark's, and even Thunder, like like he's hard one minute, but he really does love Clark. I mean, those little subtle touches show you again, like Mark Waid is with the writing. Dan Mora is also great at drawing these awesome moments of people going through the multiverse, but he's also great at just drawing like a simple facial expression.
I love the cliffhanger too. Like as we flip, he's like, he's so glad, he's been waiting for years. Boom, dude. For this moment, he just fucking uses his powers on Clark.
I loved it too, man. And like one thing I loved was like, I was so into the story that like I turned the page and I was like, shit, I'm done. I want more. Like now. Like I want the next issue like now, like when you told me when we last spoke about this book that the next arc was gonna be all about Kingdom Come, I got really stoked,
Yeah.
So I'm on board for this and I can't wait for issue 2.
I also have to mention, I love how 90s Thunderman's costume is.
Yes, with like the pouches and like the weird like things on his legs and stuff. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned it. I had overlooked that, but you're absolutely right. It makes sense because Kingdom Come is a 90s, series. So
yeah, I'm very excited because not only are we in the Kingdom Come universe, but we are going to see that universe in a timeline that we haven't seen before. So
exactly. Prior.
Yeah, exactly. It's taking place prior to Kingdom Come. So while we did get a glimpse of the aftermath of that series, we're now getting a glimpse of the before. And so I'm very excited to see what comes from that. And I have to shout out.
I mean, Mark Waid did write Kingdom Come, so he's a perfect. If someone's gonna do like a sequel or whatever you want to call it to it, like he's the person to do it.
Yeah, I do kind of wish they did Alex Ross covers for this arc. I think that would have been cool to do.
Agreed, and I wonder why that didn't happen. That seems like a no-brainer, but I mean,
it feels like he's mostly doing Marvel now. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, he might be under contract doing those Fantastic Four covers.
Yeah, but anyways, great issue. Real quick shout out to this Return of Superman 30th anniversary special. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, me too, man.
And
definitely that's someone we might want to talk about when it comes out.
That's definitely one I want to talk about when it comes out for sure. And this was a fantastic issue, really great week for comics. There's a ton more that came out. I had a lot on my pull, but this was just one of the ones we wanted to talk about. Definitely, if you haven't been reading the series, you can get the first 2 collections are out. Or if you want to jump in, like I said before, like it's super accessible. You can jump in with any arc. And
I mean, I jumped in the middle of the Amazo arc, and I was able to just sort of really get what was going on, and I immediately added the title to my pull list. So I am nothing but an example of how well this title works for new readers.
This might be my favorite arc so far. I'm very stoked for it. So go pick it up and make sure you check out some of the other. I even made a Mark Waid playlist, so there's some stuff there as well. And
yeah, we interviewed Mark about this book and a couple of other things. So look at that video too. It was a great interview.
Yeah, and make sure you also like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, we're out.
See you next time, guys.